A revolution is shaking the world of luxury, and it's gaining momentum fast. Millions of consumers are taking a stand, refusing to buy products from brands they once chased without question. This is the Buy Nothing Rebellion, and it's targeting the biggest names in fashion, watches, and accessories. Recent surveys show that nearly 4 million people in the United States alone have consciously stopped purchasing from certain luxury brands in the past year. Resale markets are shifting, and the influence of traditional marketing is crumbling. Younger shoppers now prioritize certain personal values over logos and status. But this isn't just about trends. The rebellion has a financial bite. Some of these brands have lost up to 20 to 30% of online engagement, while secondhand platforms report a spike in demand for alternatives. Consumers are tired of overpricing, overexposure, and overhyped promises that never match reality. However, today, we're revealing 9 luxury brands that millions of people have vowed never to buy again, why they've lost trust, and how this movement could reshape the industry forever. This isn't just withdrawal, it's a pushback that even the richest brands can't ignore. Let's begin. Number 9. Dior. Christian Dior is one of the world's most iconic luxury brands, but in recent years, it has faced growing rejection from consumers. One of the biggest reasons people are walking away from Dior is that many feel the brand has failed to live up to the luxury promise that once made it special. According to market analysts, roughly 50 million luxury shoppers stopped buying high-end brands like Dior in 2024 because they feel products have become too expensive without offering value or innovation. The price increase has not been met with noticeable improvements. Another reason people refuse to buy Dior is ethical concerns linked to how products are made. In 2024, Italian prosecutors uncovered cases where workers at subcontractor factories producing Dior leather goods were found living in poor and exploitative conditions. These workers were reportedly underpaid and lacked legal protections, contradicting Dior's public claims of ethical, made-in-Italy production. While Dior has pledged to address these issues, the initial exposure of worker mistreatment has already undermined trust among consumers who expected better standards from a luxury label. Consumers also criticize Dior for poor transparency and corporate accountability. When brands do not clearly show how they monitor suppliers or enforce ethical labor standards, many buyers feel misled, especially when authenticity and integrity are key reasons people spend so much on luxury goods. Some Dior customers on social platforms complain that customer service fails to resolve issues, from missing items in orders to poor post-purchase communication. While these might seem like isolated cases, when shared publicly, they feed a larger narrative that Dior doesn't care about the consumer experience. Some individuals also point to counterfeiting and gray market issues as reasons to avoid buying Dior. When fake products flood the market, genuine Dior buyers can feel as though their purchases are part of a diluted trend rather than a rare status symbol. Younger consumers in particular are rejecting Dior and similar brands because they want values-driven purchases connected to sustainability, authenticity, and ethics. And Dior's slow response on sustainability has caused some shoppers to switch to competitors perceived as more progressive. Economic pressures also play a role. In a tougher global economy, many aspirational luxury shoppers are reallocating spending to experiences or less expensive categories, leaving traditional luxury brands with shrinking customer bases. When consumers can't justify spending thousands on a handbag that feels similar to cheaper alternatives, they simply stop buying. The next one is a brand that seemed untouchable, but its constant chasing of trends made it a brand consumers can't patronize anymore. Number 8. Kate Spade. Kate Spade was founded on whimsical, vibrant design and quickly became beloved for its playful aesthetic. Over the years, however, public enthusiasm has waned, and many shoppers today avoid the brand for clear reasons. One of the strongest factors driving shoppers away from Kate Spade is declining product quality. Across consumer forums, many have noted that newer Kate Spade bags feel weaker or less durable compared to older models from previous years. Some buyers report that handles and materials feel paper-thin and less robust, which can make expensive items feel like they won't withstand regular use. Closely linked to quality concerns is the dilution of the brand's identity and creative vision after acquisitions and corporate restructuring. Kate Spade's original style, Fun, colorful, and feminine was its defining strength. However, after it became part of a larger luxury house, Tapestry, many feel the brand lost some of its original charm and creative autonomy. Critics argue that current designs are less innovative, fewer fresh design concepts are introduced, and that Kate Spade's unique creative voice has been diluted. This perceived erosion in creativity discourages consumers from seeing the brand as worth buying. Another reason people refuse to buy Kate Spade revolves around brand overexposure and market saturation. Like Coach before it, Kate Spade merchandise became widely available in outlet stores and on discount marketplaces. While this may temporarily boost sales volume, it can make products feel too common and undermine the sense of luxury or uniqueness shoppers once associated with the brand. For fashion buyers seeking distinction, this lack of exclusivity reduces the appeal of paying high prices for what can feel like easily attainable products. Price is also a point of contention among consumers. Kate Spade is sometimes viewed as priced higher than competitors with similar quality, pushing price-sensitive buyers toward other accessible luxury labels. Buying designer items only to discover that price does not correspond to expected quality or durability leads some shoppers to conclude that Kate Spade offers less value for money relative to comparable brands. Kate Spade's heavy reliance on the North American market also makes it vulnerable to changing consumer tastes and economic swings. When trends shift or spending habits change in that market, the brand's overfocus there can hurt global appeal, limiting expansion and making some shoppers feel the brand is less relevant beyond its core region. Some consumers additionally criticize Kate Spade for a lack of product range diversity. Compared to larger luxury houses with broad lifestyle categories, Kate Spade's emphasis on handbags and a few accessory lines can feel narrow. Buyers who want brands that offer a more comprehensive lifestyle or fashion ecosystem may choose alternatives with wider product portfolios. Taken together, these factors make Kate Spade feel less compelling in a crowded luxury market. Coming up is a brand that once commanded admiration, but now it's a symbol of excess, the kind of name people avoid at all cost. Number 7. Gucci. Gucci has long been a titan of high fashion, but in recent years the brand has lost appeal among certain groups of consumers for multiple reasons. One of the most significant issues driving people away from Gucci is ethical concerns over animal treatment in its supply chain. A high-profile lawsuit alleges that Gucci trained its own sales employees to tell customers that exotic animal skins, like python and crocodile, were ethically sourced. However, undercover investigations revealed that the animals were allegedly slaughtered in cruel ways at supplier facilities. The lawsuit argues that Gucci deceived customers with misleading ethical claims, and this has deeply upset shoppers who care about animal welfare and refuse to support brands associated with cruelty. In addition to this lawsuit, animal rights groups like PETA have publicly campaigned against Gucci for using exotic skins and urged the company to stop supporting wildlife exploitation. These ads and protests put public pressure on Gucci and encourage ethical consumers to boycott the brand entirely. Another frustration among buyers is cultural appropriation and insensitive marketing. For example, Gucci faced recent backlash for releasing a garment that resembles traditional Indian attire but was marketed without acknowledging its cultural roots. Critics on social media labeled this as disrespectful and exploitative, and the incident sparked broader calls for brands to either rethink their designs or for consumers to refuse to support them. Some people also refuse to buy Gucci because they feel the brand lacks clear value relative to cost. The quality of some items, including basic t-shirts or accessories, doesn't justify the high price tag. They see Gucci products as overpriced and sometimes tacky, which makes them more likely to choose other luxury or even non-luxury brands that offer better perceived value. Gucci's sales dropped significantly in recent years, prompting major leadership changes. Some view these issues as signs that the brand has lost its creative edge, making them less willing to spend money on the label. Consumer dissatisfaction sometimes spills into specific complaints about product quality and service. Some buyers have reported defective purchases and difficulty getting satisfactory resolution once issues arise, a problem that can make high-spending luxury shoppers feel undervalued and misled. Gucci's controversies push ethically minded shoppers to refuse future purchases from the brand. The next brand once defined aspiration, yet every purchase now feels like feeding a draining machine. Number 6. Chanel. Chanel is one of the most famous luxury fashion houses in the world, but many people today are refusing to buy from it for several key reasons rooted in politics, brand value issues, and customer experience. One major reason is how Chanel responded to the Ukraine war and sanctions on Russia. In 2022, Chanel stopped selling its high-value luxury products to customers who intended to take purchases into Russia in compliance with EU sanctions. This move was meant to align with international law. However, some Russians and others accused the company of being anti-Russian and threatened to boycott the brand over what they saw as political discrimination. Some social media influencers even destroyed Chanel bags in protest under hashtags like #BuyBietChanel, saying they would not respect a brand that didn't respect its customers. These public acts of rejection clearly show that political decisions can translate directly into consumer refusal. Another reason many customers are rejecting Chanel is how its luxury status has been weakened in certain markets, especially through oversupply. In places like South Korea, there are reports that a very large amount of Chanel bags are available on resale platforms. Because the resale market is flooded with these items, some customers and fashion insiders say that Chanel is no longer seen as rare or exclusive. When something becomes easy to find, consumers feel less impressed by it and often stop buying, thinking the brand has lost what made it special. Customer experiences also affect purchasing decisions. Several reviews and news reports focus on unfriendly service and elitist behavior at some Chanel stores, which can make potential buyers avoid giving the company their money. One notable incident involved a Chanel store in Istanbul, where security refused entry to a well-known celebrity, Jennifer Lopez, before later realizing who she was. Negative customer reviews describing rude or suspicious treatment at the door feed into a larger perception that the brand doesn't value all customers equally, and many people are choosing to shop elsewhere as a result. Another layer of refusal comes from public discussions about the brand's image and pricing policy online. Several social media users openly criticize Chanel for what they describe as a lack of true value, particularly pointing to very high prices without discounts. Some critics argue that Chanel's products sometimes feel like an illusion of luxury that people are paying for, mainly because of the logo and reputation, not because of innovation or superior quality. These sentiments reflect why some buyers today prefer other brands that offer better value or more creative design. In short, people are refusing to buy Chanel not only because of geopolitical tensions and political decisions, but also because of customer relations, brand positioning, and how modern shoppers interpret the meaning of luxury. For many today, luxury must feel both exclusive and welcoming, and if it does not meet those expectations, consumers increasingly walk away. Number 5, promised timeless style. Yet after years of overhype and hollow marketing, it's no longer worth anyone's attention. Number 5, Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren is another iconic American fashion label, but many consumers today choose not to buy its products for some reasons. One of them is ethical criticism, especially related to labor and sustainability practices. Independent watchdogs, which evaluates brands on social and environmental standards, have rated Ralph Lauren poorly, citing a lack of clear evidence that the company ensures fair wages or uses sustainably sourced materials. This perceived absence of transparent ethical commitment is enough to stop customers from buying Ralph Lauren products. Closely tied to this is labor fairness concerns. Recent reports from consumer platforms and sustainability observers have pointed out that Ralph Lauren has been slow or insufficient in addressing labor rights throughout its supply chain. In an era when many brands highlight fair trade, certified factories, and living wages, Ralph Lauren's perceived shortcomings can make customers feel the brand doesn't care enough about workers, diminishing their interest in spending money on it. Another reason people refuse to buy Ralph Lauren is linked to racial discrimination controversies. In 2023, a retailer employed at a Ralph Lauren store in London won a legal case after experiencing racially insensitive remarks from management, including offensive comments about her heritage. Such high-profile cases create negative public perceptions of the brand's inclusivity and social responsibility, prompting some shoppers to avoid Ralph Lauren in protest. Consumers also highlight changes in product quality and value. Many longtime customers on fashion forums say that recent Ralph Lauren garments do not compare in quality to older pieces they bought years ago. Some note thinner fabrics, poorer stitching, and overall diminished durability, especially when compared with vintage items, which makes buyers feel that the brand's current pricing is less justified than in the past. This kind of word-of-mouth and online review discussion motivates some people to stop buying. Ralph Lauren's limited appeal to younger shoppers is another contributing factor. Younger consumers today often want trend-forward styles, uniqueness, and strong ethical identity. While Ralph Lauren's classic, preppy aesthetic has enduring appeal, it does not resonate as strongly with younger demographics who are more attracted to bolder streetwear and purpose-driven brands. This means a portion of the market is simply uninterested in Ralph Lauren, choosing alternatives that feel more authentic to their identity. Economic factors also play a role. Ralph Lauren's high price points, a typical trait of luxury fashion, make it less accessible to price-sensitive buyers, especially during economic uncertainty or inflation. When consumers feel they don't receive equivalent value for the cost, they are likely to cut back on purchases or refuse them entirely. This effective shift in consumer attitudes leads many to refuse Ralph Lauren despite its historic reputation. Next is a brand that sold prestige like a trophy. But recently, the prestige is no longer worth the compromise, so it's off the list for good. Number 4. Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, LV, is another globally renowned luxury brand, yet there are growing reasons why people are choosing not to buy from it. One strong reason is backlash related to cultural symbolism and political controversy. Recently, LV released a keffiyeh-inspired design, a garment associated with Palestinian culture and nationalism. The brand was accused of cultural appropriation, taking a symbol deeply rooted in political struggle and repackaging it as a high-priced fashion item, which in turn encouraged calls to stop buying from the brand. Connected to political tensions, Louis Vuitton has also drawn conflicting reactions on social platforms, where some users accused LV items like symbolic t-shirts of containing controversial imagery tied to geopolitical conflicts, leading certain communities to urge boycotts. Whether accurate or not, these discussions demonstrate how political interpretation of products can influence consumer behavior, especially when people see a luxury brand as insensitive to serious global issues. Another reason some shoppers decide not to buy Louis Vuitton is the impact of counterfeit goods flooding the market. Many consumers end up purchasing fake LV bags because they are much cheaper, but over time, this undermines the brand's exclusivity and value perception. Fashion analysts warn that buying counterfeit LV not only supports illegal markets and criminal networks, but also harms the reputation of the authentic brand by making its signature designs feel common. Although counterfeit products are not made by LV, the fact that they are so widespread decreases the brand's prestige. Ethical concerns also play a role. Critics argue that modern luxury brands like Louis Vuitton sometimes struggle to demonstrate full transparency in their manufacturing and environmental practices. Even when LV has sustainability programs in place, such as using recycled materials or promoting circular design, many consumers still feel that luxury pushes overconsumption and environmental harm. These critiques come from people who prefer brands with stronger ethical or ecological commitments, making them refuse LV due to its perceived shortfalls in this area. Public perception of brand value is another factor. Some fashion consumers believe that LV has become less innovative and more like fast fashion in its release cycle, with frequent style variations that dilute its classic image. Online discussions often mention that constantly launching many new pieces makes the brand feel less unique and special, encouraging buyers to look for alternatives that feel more carefully crafted or timeless. In a market where consumers are more value-focused, some choose not to spend large amounts on LV, preferring either more affordable premium brands or those with clearer purpose. These combined reasons help explain why an increasing number of people are refusing to buy Louis Vuitton. And brand number 3? It once made hearts race with desire, until its missteps turned it into a brand buyers refuse to touch ever again. Number 3. Balenciaga. Balenciaga has become one of the most controversial luxury brands in recent fashion history. While some shoppers still love its avant-garde designs, many others have refused to buy from the brand because of serious concerns over its marketing choices, brand identity, and public backlash. The central reason Balenciaga has faced mass rejection is tied to its infamous advertising controversy in late 2022. The brand published a campaign featuring children holding teddy bears dressed in bondage-style gear, a creative decision that many people interpreted as inappropriate toward minors. Another piece of that campaign included imagery related to child laws, which compounded the outrage. The backlash was swift and widespread, with critics across social media accusing Balenciaga of crossing ethical and moral lines. Many individuals saw this as exploitative rather than edgy art, and this view sparked calls for withdrawal and refusal to engage with the brand's products. The controversy even moves beyond typical fashion debates into broader cultural territory. Because of this controversy, many retailers also reacted. Major department stores temporarily pulled Balenciaga products from floors and online listings, and foot traffic near some boutiques declined sharply. In at least one market, store employees noted that local customers organized complaints and protests outside flagship locations, and some malls reported a noticeable drop in visits after the ads circulated. Another reason people refuse to buy Balenciaga is connected to its brand identity and creative direction under its creative director. Balenciaga has repeatedly embraced shock value and disruptive aesthetics, such as selling intentionally distressed or deconstructed clothes at high prices and launching fashion pieces that resemble everyday items. Some consumers believe this approach feels like shock for shock's sake, rather than true craftsmanship or artistry, which makes them feel mocked instead of inspired. Beyond ethics and design, many buyers also feel the brand's communication and crisis management missteps further hurt consumer trust. In the aftermath of the child imagery controversy, Balenciaga initially deflected blame by pointing to external collaborators and production partners before issuing formal apologies. For many observers, this slow, fragmented response made the situation seem worse, as it appeared the brand was avoiding accountability rather than owning its mistakes and correcting course quickly. Balenciaga no longer represents elegance or classic fashion. For those customers, this shift lowers the desire to spend money on what they now view as a brand that trades controversy for attention. This perception drives many consumers to reject Balenciaga, either permanently or until its leadership clearly shifts strategy and messaging. The next brand once had charm. Now it has been replaced by emptiness, making every of its product a reminder of why it's undervalued. Number 2. Givenchy. Givenchy is a historic French luxury fashion house, yet there are several distinct reasons why some consumers today refuse to buy its products. One of the most widely discussed issues surrounding Givenchy arose from a runway accessory shown at Paris Fashion Week for its Spring-Summer 2022 collection. A necklace worn by models resembled a noose, a symbol that caused widespread criticism online. Previous controversies where similar imagery, like Burberry's infamous noose hoodie from 2019, was deemed offensive. The controversy around the noose-like necklace wasn't simply about aesthetics. Critics emphasized that the imagery could glamorize self-harm or violence, provoking distress for individuals who have personal experiences with loss. Some commentators questioned how such a product passed multiple levels of internal review without anyone recognizing the potential harm. The lack of an immediate or empathetic response from Givenchy at the time further irritated many observers, who felt that brands have a duty to be socially responsible in their design choices. Beyond a single object, some buyers have criticized Givenchy for what they see as a pattern of pushing controversial or provocative fashion with limited regard for cultural impact. Although high fashion often challenges norms, detractors claim that repeating potentially harmful imagery without a clear artistic justification can alienate socially conscious consumers who expect luxury houses to show awareness of broader social contexts and sensitivities. These views have fueled discussions about refusing to buy from the brand until it demonstrates more thoughtful, creative direction. Another reason some individuals have chosen not to support Givenchy involves the brand's geopolitical affiliations through its parent company, LVMH. Certain boycott lists and consumer activist groups have highlighted Givenchy's ties to investments in Israeli companies held by LVMH's ownership. Some people who oppose this geopolitical position have publicly stated they will not buy Givenchy or engage with the brand because they want to avoid indirectly supporting companies linked to contested international issues. In past years, Givenchy has also experienced backlash connected to its product marketing missteps in specific regions, particularly in China and other major luxury markets. For example, although this issue impacted several brands including Versace and Coach, Givenchy once issued apologies for t-shirt designs that were perceived as undermining territorial or national sensitivities. Such missteps can reduce consumer trust and lead some buyers to avoid the brand due to perceived cultural insensitivity. Customer perception of value and brand alignment also plays a role. Some luxury shoppers feel Givenchy occasionally releases products or styling choices that stray too far from classic elegance towards streetwear or overly avant-garde aesthetics. When buyers cannot connect emotionally or culturally with a collection, they are likely to refuse purchases, feeling that the brand no longer reflects their tastes or values. Finally, brand number 1 struggles with overexposure and endless price hikes that have made it feel meaningless. Number 1. Tommy Hilfiger. Tommy Hilfiger is a well-known fashion brand, but many people today are choosing not to buy its products for a range of reasons tied to ethical concerns, political backlash, and perceptions of value. One very significant issue comes from how Tommy Hilfiger's parent company, PVH Corporation, has been treated in global politics. In 2025, the Chinese government placed PVH, which owns Tommy Hilfiger and Calvin Klein, on an unreliable entities blacklist. China made this move partly because PVH was said to have refused to source cotton from Xinjiang, a region linked to alleged forced labor of Uyghur minorities. This generated headlines around the world and made some consumers view the brand as connected to human rights and political trade conflicts. These customers feel this association undermines their willingness to spend money on Tommy Hilfiger products. Linked to this, some boycott listings online label Tommy Hilfiger as a company supporting geopolitical outcomes that consumers do not want to back with their purchases. Certain ethical consumer platforms claim that companies tied to military supporting shareholders or controversial investment groups should be avoided. While not everyone agrees with these claims, a segment of shoppers use them as a reason to refuse to buy Tommy Hilfiger. There are also concerns about brand identity and relevance, especially with younger consumers. Many younger shoppers today value transparency, sustainability, and ethical sourcing far more than brand name alone. While Tommy Hilfiger has made commitments towards sustainability and circular fashion, critics say the brand moves too slowly compared to competitors like Patagonia or Levi's, which have stronger reputations on environmental issues. This slower progress makes some consumers look elsewhere for clothing that better aligns with their values. The pricing and value perception also affect refusal. Tommy Hilfiger is positioned as a premium brand, but some shoppers feel the price does not match the perceived quality. Academic marketing analyses note that Tommy Hilfiger's products are sometimes seen as similar in design and quality to cheaper alternatives, making the cost seem too high or unjustified, particularly during times of economic strain or for price-sensitive buyers. This leads some customers to simply stop buying the brand. Another factor is competition and trend relevance. The fashion market changes quickly, and some consumers think Tommy Hilfiger does not keep up with trend cycles or innovate fast enough. When shoppers feel that a brand's style lags behind what's current, especially compared with fast fashion competitors, they are more likely to walk away from buying its products. Finally, brand reputation and misinformation has historically influenced people's decisions. A long-circulated urban legend from the 1990s falsely claimed that Tommy Hilfiger said he did not want people of certain racial backgrounds to wear his clothes. Although this rumor has been debunked and denied by Hilfiger himself, it persists online and can unfairly affect people's trust in the brand, especially among communities sensitive to historical discrimination. All these contribute to why many people today refuse to buy Tommy Hilfiger products. Why customers are refusing to buy these luxury brands. Pattern 1. broken promises, and overpriced products. Many luxury brands have increased their prices significantly without delivering noticeable improvements in quality, design, or creativity. Buyers feel frustrated and sometimes deceived when high costs don't match the product's value. This mismatch makes buyers question the brand's credibility and whether paying a premium is truly worth it. Loss of exclusivity. Luxury used to mean rarity and privilege, but overexposure has changed that. With more stores, online access, and logos displayed everywhere, the feeling of owning something unique has diminished. When everyone can buy the same items easily, the allure of exclusivity fades, and brands lose the prestige that once justified their high prices. Changing generation values. Younger consumers increasingly prioritize sustainability, ethical production, and brands that align with their values. They often prefer experiences, secondhand items, or unique vintage pieces over traditional luxury. Status and logos matter less, while environmental and social responsibility play a bigger role in influencing their purchasing decisions and loyalty. Economic pressures. Rising inflation and global economic uncertainty are making even affluent buyers more cautious. People are paying closer attention to value, durability, and long-term benefits of purchases. High-priced items are now scrutinized more critically, and luxury brands must prove their worth beyond name recognition to maintain consumer interest. Across the luxury fashion world, consumer refusal is increasingly driven by a combination of ethics, brand perception, product quality, and market strategy. From Chanel and Louis Vuitton to Michael Kors and Kate Spade, buyers are scrutinizing not just design and price, but also cultural sensitivity, sustainability, and exclusivity. Overexposure and slow adaptation to changing trends have caused even iconic brands to lose trust and desirability. In today's world, brands that fail to meet certain expectations face declining loyalty and an expanding wave of conscientious refusal. If this breakdown changed how you think about luxury, let us know in the comments. Which of these brands stood out to you most? Do you think any of them can adjust efficiently to gain back customers? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden dynamics of wealth, status, and the brands desperately trying to capture both. Because in luxury, nothing is permanent.